I'm so glad you're here with me tonight, wherever you are in the world right now. I hope you've found yourself a comfortable place to settle in. Maybe you're tucked into bed with the covers pulled up just right, or perhaps you're curled up on your favorite chair with a soft blanket draped over your shoulders. Maybe you're looking out at the night sky through your window, watching the stars twinkle in their ancient dance across the darkness. Or maybe you're somewhere completely different, in a quiet corner of your day where you can simply breathe and be present with these ideas. Tonight, we're going to explore something that might sound a bit mysterious at first. We're going to talk about the quantum field and what it really means to align with the energy of what you desire. Now, I know that might sound like we're venturing into some pretty esoteric territory, and I do hope this exploration is soothing enough that it doesn't accidentally keep you awake when you'd rather be drifting off to sleep. Though if you do find yourself more alert than expected, that's perfectly fine too. Sometimes our minds need to wander through new landscapes before they can truly rest. Where are you watching from tonight? And what time is it in your corner of the world? I always love imagining all the different places and moments where these words might find you. Perhaps it's late evening where you are, with the house finally quiet around you. Or maybe it's early morning, and you're stealing a few moments before the day begins. Wherever and whenever you are, you're exactly where you need to be. If you find this journey interesting or relaxing, I'd be grateful if you'd consider giving this video a gentle like, and perhaps subscribing to join our little community of curious night owls. Just a friendly reminder before we begin that everything we'll discuss tonight is purely for educational and relaxation purposes. We're here to explore ideas and wonder together, not to provide any kind of medical or professional advice. Think of this as a gentle conversation between friends, a sharing of perspectives about the mysterious ways our universe seems to work. All right, take a slow, deep breath with me. Let your shoulders soften just a little bit more. Feel your jaw relax, your forehead smooth, and let's begin by asking a question that might feel both simple and profound. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract the experiences they desire, while others spend years visualizing and hoping and working toward their dreams, only to find themselves still waiting? You know the people I'm talking about. They seem to move through life with a certain ease, as if opportunities just naturally gravitate toward them. They don't appear to be trying harder than anyone else. They're not necessarily more talented or more deserving, yet somehow the universe seems to conspire in their favor. Meanwhile, there are others who follow every manifestation technique, who visualize daily, who create detailed vision boards, and repeat affirmations with dedication, yet their desires remain frustratingly out of reach. What if I told you that the answer has nothing to do with luck, or timing, or even how hard you work? What if the secret lies in something much more fundamental, something that exists in the very fabric of reality itself? What if the difference between those who effortlessly attract what they desire and those who struggle has to do with something so subtle that most people never even notice it? You see, there's something fascinating happening all around us all the time. Scientists call it the quantum field, and it's essentially the invisible ocean of energy and possibility that underlies everything we see and experience. Think of it like the canvas on which the painting of reality gets created, moment by moment. This field is incredibly responsive, more sensitive than the most delicate instrument, constantly registering and reflecting back the quality of consciousness that interacts with it. But here's what most people don't understand. It doesn't respond to your thoughts the way you might think it does. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're standing by a still, clear lake at dawn. The air is crisp and clean, and mist is rising gently from the water's surface. The lake is like a perfect mirror, reflecting not just the sky above, but every cloud, every bird that passes overhead, every subtle shift in the light. Now, if you were to drop a pebble into that water, what would happen? Ripples would spread outward in perfect circles, wouldn't they? Each ripple carrying the energy of that initial disturbance, traveling across the entire surface of the lake. The water doesn't judge the pebble or decide whether it deserves to create ripples. It simply responds to the energy that's been introduced. The quantum field works in a remarkably similar way. But here's where it gets interesting, and where most people get confused. Most people think they're dropping pebbles of intention into this field when they visualize or make affirmations. They picture themselves having what they want. They repeat positive statements. They create vision boards filled with images of their desired future. They hold clear mental images in their minds. And yet, despite all this mental activity, the field often seems to ignore these efforts entirely. The ripples they expect to see simply don't appear, or if they do, they're weak and quickly fade away. Why do you think that is? Why would such focused mental effort produce such inconsistent results? The answer lies in understanding the difference between mental activity and energetic frequency. When you visualize having something you don't currently have, what's the underlying energy of that visualization? If you're completely honest with yourself, isn't there usually a subtle undercurrent of lack? A feeling of reaching for something that's not quite here yet? A sense of hoping and wanting and trying to make something happen, even when you're doing your best to feel positive and optimistic? Isn't there often a tiny voice in the back of your mind wondering if it will really work this time? That underlying feeling, that energetic signature that accompanies your thoughts, is what the quantum field actually responds to. It's not reading your mental pictures like a cosmic vision board. It's feeling your vibrational state, sensing the quality of consciousness you're broadcasting in each moment. And if your vibrational state is one of wanting something you don't have, then the field responds by giving you more experiences of wanting something you don't have. If your energetic signature carries the frequency of not enough, the field mirrors that back to you as continued experiences of not enough. This is why so many people get stuck in what I like to call the someday frequency. They spend years broadcasting the energy of not quite having what they desire, and the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, reflects that energy right back to them. They become experts at wanting, at hoping, at almost having, but they never quite cross the threshold into actually receiving what they've been asking for. Think about it this way. You know how when you're genuinely happy, really truly content with life as it is, you tend to attract more experiences that make you happy. People seem friendlier, opportunities appear more readily. Even small annoyances don't seem to bother you as much. And when you're worried or anxious, you seem to notice more things to worry about. Traffic seems worse. People seem more irritating. Problems seem to multiply. That's not coincidence, and it's not just selective perception. That's the quantum field responding to your energetic broadcast, reflecting back to you experiences that match the frequency you're transmitting. Now, here's where this gets really interesting from a scientific perspective. Quantum physicists have discovered that at the most fundamental level, reality isn't made of solid particles at all. Everything you see and touch and experience, everything that seems so solid and fixed, is actually made of energy, of vibrating fields of possibility that only appear to be solid when we observe them in certain ways, and these fields of possibility collapse into specific experiences based on observation, on consciousness, on the quality of attention we bring to them. But consciousness isn't just mental awareness. Consciousness includes your emotional state, your beliefs about what's possible, your expectations about how life works, the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve. All of these elements combine to create what we might call your energetic signature, your unique vibrational frequency in any given moment. It's like you're a complex musical instrument, and every thought, every feeling, every belief is a different string that contributes to the overall chord you're playing into the quantum field. Imagine your consciousness as a radio transmitter. You're constantly broadcasting a signal into the quantum field, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even when you're sleeping, your subconscious beliefs and emotional patterns are still transmitting. And just like a radio station, the quality and clarity of your signal determines what kind of reception you get back. If your signal is fuzzy, full of static, conflicted, sending mixed messages, you get fuzzy, static-filled, conflicted experiences in return. If your signal is clear and coherent and strong, You get experiences that match that clarity and coherence. Most people's signals are incredibly mixed. They say they want abundance while feeling worried about money. They visualize love while carrying old wounds from past relationships. They affirm success while secretly believing they don't deserve it, or that good things don't happen to people like them. They want to feel confident while constantly comparing themselves to others. They desire freedom while feeling trapped by their circumstances. The quantum field receives all of these mixed signals and responds accordingly, creating experiences that match the confusion and internal conflict. It's like trying to tune into a radio station while someone else is constantly changing the frequency. You might catch a few clear notes here and there, but mostly you get static and interference. The station you want to hear is broadcasting clearly, but you can't receive it because your receiver keeps jumping around. But what would happen if you could clean up your signal? What if you could align your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, and your actions so that they all broadcast the same clear, coherent frequency? What if every part of you was tuned to the same station, so to speak? This is what true energetic alignment looks like. It's not about pretending you already have what you want. It's not about positive thinking or mental gymnastics, or trying to convince yourself that everything is fine when it's not. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally experiences what you desire. It's about embodying the frequency of already being there, not through pretense or performance, but through genuine transformation of your inner state. Let me give you an example that might make this clearer. Think about someone you know who seems naturally confident. Not arrogant or pushy, but genuinely confident. Maybe it's someone who walks into a room and immediately puts others at ease. Someone who speaks their truth without being defensive or aggressive. Someone who seems comfortable in their own skin, regardless of the circumstances they find themselves in. How do they move through the world? They don't spend their time trying to convince themselves they're confident. They don't stand in front of the mirror each morning, repeating affirmations about their self-worth. They don't visualize being confident or study techniques for building confidence. They simply are confident, and that confidence radiates from them in everything they do. It shows up in their posture, in their tone of voice, in the way they make decisions, in how they respond to challenges. That's energetic alignment. Their inner state matches their outer expression, which matches their actions, which matches their results. There's no conflict, no trying, no effort to be something they're not. They're broadcasting a clear, coherent signal, and the world responds to that signal by treating them as the confident person they genuinely are. Now, you might be wondering, how does someone become naturally confident in the first place, or naturally abundant, or naturally loving, or naturally successful? This is where most people get tripped up, because they think these qualities are somehow earned or developed over time through struggle and effort. They believe you have to work hard to deserve confidence, or that abundance comes only after years of sacrifice, or that love must be earned through being perfect enough. But what if that's not how it works at all? What if these qualities are actually your natural state, and the only thing preventing you from experiencing them is the interference patterns you've learned to broadcast? What if confidence and abundance and love aren't things you need to acquire, but rather things you need to stop blocking? Think of it like this. Imagine you have a beautiful, clear radio signal, but there's static covering it up. The static isn't the real signal. The static is just interference, just noise that's gotten layered on top of what was already there. To hear the clear signal, you don't need to create it from scratch. You just need to remove the interference. You need to clear away the static so the natural signal can broadcast clearly. The interference in your energetic signal comes from conditioning, from old beliefs and patterns, and stories you've absorbed about how life works. Maybe you learned early on that good things come to those who wait, so you developed a pattern of postponing your happiness. Maybe you learned that you have to work hard to deserve what you want, so you created an internal program that equates struggle with worthiness. Maybe you learned that wanting things is selfish, or that there's not enough to go around, or that people like you don't get to have certain experiences. These beliefs might have served you at some point in your life. They might have helped you navigate difficult circumstances or protected you from disappointment. But they also create interference in your natural signal. They cause you to broadcast mixed messages into the quantum field. Part of you desires something, while another part of you believes you can't or shouldn't have it. Part of you reaches for love, while another part expects rejection. Part of you dreams of success, while another part fears failure or judgment. And the field, being perfectly responsive, gives you experiences that match that internal conflict. You get relationships that feel almost right, but not quite. You get opportunities that seem promising, but don't quite work out. You get glimpses of what you want, just enough to keep you hoping, but not enough to satisfy your deeper longing. But here's the beautiful thing about understanding how this works. Once you see that your current results are simply a reflection of your energetic broadcast, you realize that changing your results is really about changing your signal. And changing your signal isn't about adding something new or becoming someone different. It's about removing what's not actually you. It's about clearing away the interference so your natural frequency can shine through. It's about remembering who you really are underneath all the conditioning and fear and doubt. It's about discovering your authentic frequency and learning to broadcast from that place consistently, not just when you feel like it or when circumstances are favorable, but as your natural way of being in the world. This brings us to something really important that most people miss entirely. They think alignment means getting their thoughts and emotions to match their desires. But that's still coming from the energy of not having what you want, still operating from the frequency of lack. True alignment is much more subtle and much more powerful than that. True alignment means recognizing that what you desire already exists as a possibility in the quantum field. It means understanding that your desire itself is actually evidence that this possibility is trying to emerge through you. Think about that for a moment. Why would you desire something that wasn't already available in the field of possibilities? Your desire isn't random or meaningless. It's the universe's way of calling forth new experiences through your unique consciousness. This shifts everything. Instead of trying to make something happen that doesn't exist yet, you're allowing something that wants to happen to flow through you. Instead of broadcasting the frequency of wanting something you don't have, you're broadcasting the frequency of allowing something that's already wanting to emerge. Let me share a metaphor that might help illustrate this. Imagine you're a gardener, and you've planted seeds in your garden. Now, you could spend all day standing over those seeds, visualizing them growing, affirming that they will sprout, trying to will them into existence through sheer mental force. You could worry about whether they'll grow, compare your garden to others, doubt whether you planted them correctly. But that's not how gardens work, is it? Instead, a wise gardener creates the right conditions. They make sure the soil is fertile and well prepared. They ensure there's adequate water and sunlight. They remove weeds that might compete for nutrients. They trust the intelligence within the seed to know how to become what it's meant to become. They align themselves with the natural process, rather than trying to force it or control every detail. Your desires are like seeds that have already been planted in the quantum field. They contain within themselves everything they need to manifest into your experience. The blueprint is already there. The potential is already established. Your job isn't to make them grow through mental effort or emotional manipulation. Your job is to become the kind of person who naturally provides the right conditions for them to flourish. And what are those conditions? They're surprisingly simple, though not always easy to maintain in a world that often encourages you to be someone you're not. The conditions are coherence, authenticity, and what I like to call energetic integrity. Let me explain what I mean by each of these, because understanding them can transform how you approach manifesting anything in your life. Coherence means that all parts of you are aligned and working together toward the same end. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions are all broadcasting the same signal. There's no internal conflict, no part of you working against another part. You're like a laser beam instead of scattered light, focused and powerful and clear. When you're coherent, Your energy isn't dissipated by internal resistance or contradiction. Every part of your being is pointing in the same direction. Authenticity means you're not trying to be someone you're not in order to get what you want. You're not putting on a performance or wearing a mask or pretending to have qualities you think you should have. You're simply being who you truly are and allowing your desires to emerge from that authentic place. This is crucial because the quantum field responds to your genuine energetic signature, not to whatever role you think you need to play to deserve what you want. And energetic integrity means that your inner state matches your outer expression. You're not saying one thing while feeling another. You're not acting confident while feeling insecure, or acting abundant while feeling scarce, or acting loving while feeling resentful. There's a harmony between your inner experience and your outer expression that creates a clear, strong signal. People can sense this integrity, and so can the quantum field. Now, I want to address something that might be coming up for you as we explore these ideas. You might be thinking, this all sounds wonderful in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you shift from wanting something to allowing it? How do you become coherent and authentic and energetically integral? How do you clean up your signal when you've been broadcasting mixed messages for years or even decades? The answer might surprise you, because it's both simpler and more profound than most people expect. You don't become these things through effort, or practice, or technique. You already are these things. Coherence, authenticity, and energetic integrity are your natural state. You just need to stop doing the things that interfere with your natural state. Think about a time when you felt completely at ease, completely yourself, completely in flow with life. Maybe you were in nature, surrounded by trees or ocean or mountains. Maybe you were with people you love, laughing and sharing stories without any concern for how you appeared. Maybe you were engaged in something you're passionate about, so absorbed in the activity that you forgot to monitor yourself or worry about outcomes. In that moment, were you trying to be confident? Were you working to feel abundant? Were you efforting to be authentic? Were you practicing techniques to maintain energetic integrity? Of course not. You were simply being yourself, naturally and effortlessly. And in that state of natural being, you were probably quite magnetic, quite attractive, quite powerful. People and opportunities and experiences probably flowed toward you easily. That's your natural frequency. That's who you really are when you're not interfering with yourself. That's the signal you broadcast when you're not trying to be anything other than what you are. And that's the frequency from which your desires naturally manifest, not through force or manipulation, but through the natural magnetism of authentic being. The challenge is that most of us have been taught to interfere with our natural state. We've learned to monitor ourselves constantly, to judge ourselves harshly, to try to control outcomes, to worry about what others think, to doubt our worthiness, to postpone our happiness until certain conditions are met. We've been conditioned to believe that our natural state isn't good enough, that we need to improve ourselves or fix ourselves, or become someone different in order to deserve what we want. All of these learned behaviors create static in our natural signal. They cause us to broadcast mixed messages into the quantum field. We want love, but we're afraid of vulnerability. We want success, but we're afraid of failure. We want abundance, but we feel guilty about having more than others. We want freedom, but we're afraid of responsibility. And the field, being perfectly responsive, gives us mixed results that match our mixed signals. But what if you could learn to recognize when you're interfering with your natural state? What if you could catch yourself in the act of creating static and simply stop? What if you could return, again and again, to your natural frequency of ease and authenticity and trust? This is what I call living from coherence. It's not about achieving some perfect state and maintaining it forever. It's not about never having another doubt or fear or moment of confusion. It's about recognizing when you've drifted away from your natural frequency and gently returning to it. It's about becoming skilled at clearing the interference so your true signal can broadcast clearly. And here's what's really beautiful about this approach. When you're broadcasting from your natural frequency, manifesting doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like you're trying to make something happen or force the universe to give you what you want. It doesn't feel like you're performing or pretending or struggling to maintain some artificial state. Instead, it feels like you're simply being yourself, and life is responding to that authenticity with experiences that match who you really are. Your desires stop feeling like things you need to chase or earn or deserve. They start feeling like natural expressions of who you're becoming. They feel inevitable, not because you're forcing them, but because you've aligned yourself with the frequency at which they naturally exist. This is the real secret of working with the quantum field. It's not about learning to manipulate energy or control outcomes, or master some complex set of techniques. It's about learning to be so authentically yourself that the field has no choice but to reflect that authenticity back to you in the form of experiences that match who you really are. And who you really are is far more magnificent than you've probably been taught to believe. You are a unique expression of consciousness, a one-of-a-kind frequency that has never existed before and will never exist again. Your desires aren't random or selfish or impossible. They're the universe's way of trying to express itself through you in ways that have never been expressed before. When you understand this, when you really get that your desires are sacred and that you are worthy of them simply by virtue of being alive, everything changes. You stop trying to earn what's already yours. You stop waiting for permission to be happy. You stop broadcasting the frequency of not enough and start broadcasting the frequency of more than enough. You begin to live from the understanding that the quantum field is not some distant, impersonal force that you need to convince or cajole or manipulate. It's the very fabric of your being. It's the intelligence that beats your heart and grows your hair and heals your wounds without any conscious effort on your part. It's intimately connected to you because it literally is you expressing itself as the experience of being human. From this understanding, alignment becomes natural. You're not trying to align with something outside yourself. You're simply remembering your true nature and allowing that nature to express itself without interference. You're returning to the frequency of who you've always been underneath all the conditioning and fear and doubt. And from this frequency, your desires don't feel like distant dreams or impossible goals. They feel like natural next steps, like obvious expressions of who you're becoming. They feel like coming home to yourself, rather than trying to become someone else. This is the real magic of energetic alignment. It's not about getting what you want. It's about becoming who you really are and discovering that who you really are naturally attracts experiences that match your authentic frequency. It's about realizing that you don't need to change yourself to deserve what you desire. You need to stop changing yourself to fit what you think you're supposed to be. The quantum field is always listening, always responding, always reflecting back to you the quality of consciousness you're broadcasting. And the most beautiful thing about this is that your natural consciousness, your authentic frequency, is already perfectly aligned with everything you truly desire. You don't need to become someone else to have what you want. You need to become more yourself. You don't need to earn what you desire. You need to remember that you're already worthy of it. You don't need to force the universe to give you what you want. You need to trust that what you want is already wanting you back, already seeking expression through your unique consciousness. This is the beginning of a very different way of living, a way that feels more like dancing with life than fighting against it, a way that feels more like coming home than going somewhere else, a way that honors both your humanity and your divinity, both your desires and your worthiness, both your individual uniqueness and your connection to the whole. As we continue this exploration together, we'll dive deeper into what it actually looks like to live from this place of energetic coherence. We'll explore the practical aspects of maintaining your natural frequency in a world that often encourages you to be someone you're not. We'll look at how to recognize and clear the interference patterns that keep you broadcasting mixed signals. But for now, just let these ideas settle into your awareness, like seeds finding fertile ground. You don't need to understand everything all at once. You don't need to change anything right away. You don't need to figure out how to apply every concept immediately. You just need to be open to the possibility that there might be a much easier, much more natural way to experience the life you desire. A way that honors who you really are rather than asking you to become someone else. A way that trusts the intelligence of the quantum field rather than trying to outsmart it or manipulate it. A way that feels like coming alive rather than trying to achieve something outside yourself. Take another slow, deep breath with me. Feel your body relaxing even more deeply into wherever you're resting. Notice how your breathing has perhaps slowed and deepened as we've been exploring these ideas together. And just for a moment, imagine what it might feel like to live from your most authentic frequency. Not trying to be anyone else, not affording to make anything happen, just being beautifully, completely yourself. Can you feel how peaceful that would be? Can you sense how magnetic and attractive your authentic presence really is? Can you imagine how naturally your desires might unfold when you're broadcasting from that place of genuine self-expression? That feeling, that sense of natural ease and authentic power, that's your true frequency. That's the signal the quantum field is waiting to receive from you. And when you learn to broadcast from that place consistently, you'll discover that manifesting isn't something you do. It's something you are.